Thank you very much, and it's extremely exciting to be up here together with you, because I can still remember the days when I went to Hörsalarna and had my lectures in the late 80s. And the topic of today is something that I didn't have any clue about back in those days. How many of you feel confident about the word or the acronym ESG? ESG in terms of company governance. ESG. Are you comfortable or not with that acronym? DE&I then. Yeah, a few hands in the air. Well, it's a bit interesting, because if you had asked me to come here 10 years ago on this stage, it would have been something like this. This was me on stage 10 years ago. And it's almost comical, because the backdrop at that time, that was a company conference, what will be different in the future? Well, little did I know that I would be here as I am now. But also, if you had asked me back then to talk about, sustainability, diversity and inclusion, etc., I would have done so with great confidence, because I was a business leader. I was tuned in to talk about every topic with great confidence. And then if I indeed have some knowledge gaps, I was skilled enough to killgissa and fill them very efficiently. ESG, that's something you use when you talk about sustainability or hållbarhet, because that is environmental, social and governance aspects of how to run a company, how to run a business. And if you want to run a business and you want to be recognized by society, you need to have firm grip of ESG factors. And within those ESG, environmental, social and governance factors, it's the S, social factors, that is gaining increasing importance in the industry, which we at Wellstreet as investors look for very much. Because that's where you treat people, how you attract people, how you develop people. And DE&I, that's diversity, equity and inclusion. Diversity, that is the very mix of people you have around you in your company. Equity is about providing each individual with the support he or she needs in order to provide an equal possibility to contribute. And inclusion is essentially the culture and the practices you use to create a sense of belonging of everyone in your company. DE&I. And yes, I said my background is 30 years ago at Götaplatsen graduation ceremony in the spring of 92. You would have found me there. It was quite some time ago. A long time has passed. I spent most of my years in the insurance industry. My latest entrepreneurial journey was to build up ICA Försäkring, where I was CEO until April this year. It's a fascinating scaling journey, almost $1 billion in turnover, and now a very profitable business. That taught me also a lot about what truly can drive a business to perform better than competition. And it's not about having the smartest solutions or the best technology, because leadership of a large organization is all about working with people. And working with people is about having a firm grip about DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion. And since April this year, I'm now partner and chairwoman of the venture capital company Wellstreet. And I'm sitting in front of our sort of board of the portfolio companies, some over 25 portfolio companies that we have invested in. We are a seed stage investor, pre-seed stage investor, so we are often the first external investor that entrepreneurs and founders come to, either to our office in Stockholm or our office here in Gothenburg. And now, why would you at all care about DE&I? Why is that important? Why does that warrant me having a presentation up here? isn't that just some huffy fluff? Well, think a while. Suppose that you will want to work for a big corporation, and this is the leadership team, and this is an actual screenshot I've taken from another company. I mean, they're pretty happy with themselves, it seems, but would you like to work there? Can you identify yourself being at the senior level of that company? Would you like to be a customer? And if you were an investor or shareholder, would you want to invest in them? Do you have confidence that that is the kind of leadership team that leads to business success? Well, I'm taking a very stereotypical example, of course, but it does have a big impact, because what is the case for DEI? Well, the case is quite clear. And when we do a risk assessment of our portfolio, when we do an ESG analysis, remember, E is environmental factors like emissions, energy and waste. S is social factors like diversity and inclusion, attracting and retain and develop talent. And G, governance practices like corruption and unethical business practices, data and privacy protection. We sort our portfolio companies across different industries. Those are the verticals. And it's the S part of diversity and inclusion and attracting and retaining talent that cuts across as a major risk, as a major factor when we assess which companies do we want to invest in. And when we advise our companies, what should you focus on? So as investors, we see DE&I as hugely important in our work. And ultimately, it also steers which companies get funded and which companies do not get funded. It's not only having the brightest idea or the best technology. You need to think about these issues already from the start of the journey. So it's not huffy fluffy. The case for DE&I is very much about attracting and motivate talent. Because if you want to attract the best talent, that talent might very well be diverse. They might come from other countries or come from different cultures or be very unique in certain aspects. If you're not capable of fostering them and allowing them to be themselves in your company, you will not be able to retain them or not even attract them. And when you do manage in recruiting and building a team of people who are very much diverse, cross-functional, you will be in a much better position to make better decisions, more innovative decisions, because innovative decisions do not come from people who are very like one another. People who are very diverse in a set culture have a much better ability to create great ideas. And more customers, and as you grow bigger your companies, even media put demands on how you should be in your company. It's essentially a license to operate once you start to grow in scale. And if you've grown too big without thinking of these issues, it might be too late. And again, as an investor, we look very carefully at this. We want to have diverse founder teams, and especially when the companies are growing, we want our founders to actually work actively on these issues. And I'm very thankful to see that there are more and more quantitative studies out there in the market that actually prove that there's a positive correlation between financial performance and being active in D&I. The McKinsey study Diversity Wins shows that there is a positive correlation between financial performance by both gender diversity in the executive teams and ethnic diversity in executive teams. It might be hard to prove in the individual company level, but on a group level, there is a positive correlation. So, given that D&I is something that is important, that you should focus on, that actually can drive growth and drive profits, how do you do it then? What do you do in practice? Well, in all change journeys, it always starts with yourself. It is about you, and regardless if you are a leader leading a startup or if you are an individual working in a startup or you're still a student, it is all about you. You need to basically understand, to see that, yes, this is important. Not because I've been said so or taught in a textbook. This is really, really important. And then we come about biases. A bias is having an assumption of how a person belonging to a different category than yourself is. It could be gender, it could be ethnicity, it could be functional variation, whatever. Educate yourself around it. See the value of differences as opposed to shying away from, because, you know, in Sweden we say minsta motståndets lag. It's about always going for the easiest solution. The easiest solutions is usually to gang up with people who are very much like yourself. Short term, it might feel more efficient, but it won't lead to the most innovative results. It won't lead to long-term business success. So lead from yourself, be the change you want to be, and then actively seek out and learn from others how you could be more inclusive. So your personal commitment is where it all starts. Now, once you've done that, you could actually start measuring when your company starts growing. We, for example, as an investor, we look at founder teams who are diverse and founder teams who are not diverse. And then as you grow, think about which people you fill your organization with. And why is that important? Well, look at the left-hand chart here. It's from Albright. And it says that 50% of students that take degrees in business in Sweden are women. And the further you go in executive levels in Swedish listed companies, the proportion of women drops. Only 12% of the CEOs of listed companies in Sweden are women. Now, I refuse to believe that that figure 12% is a good representation of the raw talent, because the raw talent is actually 50%. The difference between 50% and 12% is representative of our inability in the business sector to actually support and create an environment where all talents can prosper. It is a consequence of an environment where we have a norm, and the norm wins in a way. That is not the best usage of talent. So set targets, and we look at both how you, when you start filling your boards, when you seek investors, and when you build executive teams. And remember, diversity is not only the things you can measure, like gender. Diversity is all dimensions where we are different as human beings, even cognitive differences. So diversity is simply being different. And once you've done that, you need to actually start working and engaging with different people. It is not something that yes, now we have employed people who are different, and we put them in a team. They can do the call center support or work in the tech team, and let them have their thing. No, it is your responsibility to work with other people than yourself, to understand what do they need in order to excel. It's being genuinely interested in people who are not like yourself. Because leadership, again, in today's business, is not about having the brightest idea or having the most innovative solution yourself. Leadership in organizations is all about people, to be genuinely interested in other people and create a culture environment where everyone can prosper. And then, once you've done that, make sure that the playing field is level. That's equity. That everyone has the same possibility to reach success. Because we have different needs. I've These are two pictures of myself. I've been CEO both as a man and a woman. I genuinely thought, when I still lived as a man, that the playing field was even. That was my firm belief. It only took me a few months to live as a woman to realize that the playing field is not even. Not because I was treated differently, but many women came forward to me and gave me the full story. The story that they didn't tell me before. Things that they silently absorbed. Tough jargon, jokes that were not at all funny. How difficult it was to make your point heard in meetings. And even examples of sexual harassment, which they did not come forward with because they didn't feel safe to raise their hands, but silently absorbed stuff. So we do not have a level playing field, and it is not the responsibility of the minority to level the playing field. It's the responsibility of the majority, the norm. The same norm that I used to belong to, white middle-aged men, to actually level the playing field. And you can only do that by actively being interested in people belonging to a different category than yourself. And once you've done that, you need to systemize it. It's a never-ending journey. Yes, we all need to have these policies, diskrimineringslagen, zero tolerance policies. We all need to have regular trainings. This is a never-ending journey. We all have a responsibility to educate ourselves on these topics. So this is my commitment, my revelation in a way. I fairly admit that I didn't pay much attention to these issues beforehand. Maybe I thought it was a bit huffy-fluffy, and it's all about technology having the brightest idea. Leadership in organizations of a certain size, it's all about people. Creating an environment where everyone can feel a sense of belonging and excel. So my commitment, wherever I work, and now I'm an investor in small entrepreneur-led businesses, is to demonstrate and propel the value of diversity. So think for a while, what is your commitment? What will you do differently when you walk out of this meeting? How will you engage with other people? Seek relationships with people who are not like yourself. See how you can create an environment and people you interact with, people you hang out with, who are truly different than yourself, to seek the next level of innovation. And that is what we do at Wellstreet, because we are an investor. We have over 25 portfolio companies. We actively seek new entrepreneurs to invest in. We have offices in Stockholm. We have offices here in Gothenburg at Östra Larmgatan. We have very nice offices there with co-locating space where our portfolio companies can rent offices, and we provide training programs like Google for Startups, AWS, FinTech Loft, etc. to support our portfolio companies. Because we truly believe that we have a winning formula to actually help the entrepreneurs of tomorrow that we invest in. So, in summary, I'm very happy that you have listened to me. My message is clear: diverse businesses do perform better, but it's not so simple as just employing diversity. It's actually creating an inclusive culture where everyone can be themselves, so that we together can create next level of business value. Thank you very much.